be walking behind you. Member of the Executive Council, University of Delhi, Secretary, Indian Accounting Association, NCR chapter, a brilliant academician who has a wide research experience and also administrative prowess. I call upon Dr. J.L. Gupta to welcome our luminaries present today.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha Dayal, for kind words. Good evening to one and all. I really feel honored to be in the midst of a galaxy of distinguished guests sitting around us. CA Amarjit Chopra ji, CA RM Johri ji, CA Sanjeev Singhal ji, CMA Sanjay Gupta ji, Professor Nageshwar Rao, Vice Chancellor, Indira Gandhi National Open University, Professor S.P. Agarwal, Principal Ramanujan College, members of the organizing team, colleagues, friends, and dear learned participants from all over the country. I welcome you all to this inaugural session of the certificate course in IND AS, organized by Ramanujan College and Indian Accounting Association, NCR chapter. We all know the era of implementation of IND AS had begun in the country from 1st April 2016 onwards in the phased manner. In fact, phase 1 companies have already started to publish their annual accounts reports prepared in accordance with IND AS. Under phase 2, all listed companies and companies having net worth 250 crore or more, but less than 500 crore, began implementation of IND AS from 1st April 2018 onwards. And banks, non-banking financial companies, and insurance companies are required to comply with IND AS from 1st April 2018 onwards. This certificate course on IND AS has been designed to help corporate and practicing professionals deal with new regulatory requirements, increase their awareness, and develop an understanding of the new standards. Apart from the comprehensive theoretical aspects, this course will sharpen the expertise and excellence of the participants through multiple case studies across the country, across the industry and service sector. This program also includes best practices of the country, gap differences, asset relative standards, gap differences with regard to other standards and other areas. To my mind, this is a golden opportunity for the young participants to learn from the masters of the subject. Each and every, I can assure, each and every faculty is a renowned faculty. As per the requirements, each participant has to go for evaluation as per the norms of the laid down in the bulletin before he is eligible to get the certificate. I offer my best wishes to the participants for their success. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Rekha ji.
Thank you, Dr. J.L. Gupta, sir, for your kind words. It is rightly said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Today, from across the globe, we are very fortunate to have with us CA Shri Amarjit Chopra ji, braving the different time zones, the thousands of miles that keep us apart, yet CA Amarjit Chopra sir has joined us as our chief guest for this evening. We are very, very grateful to you, sir, for making sure that you are here with us sharp at 5, though I know that it's a different time that you have there in Canada. Presently, C. Amarjit Chopra sir is a member of NFRA and he is the past chairman of NACAS. He has held the prestigious position of president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and was also the vice president earlier. He is a prolific speaker who has more than 3 decades of standing in the accounting and taxation field. He also represents the institute as the chairman of all standing committees, be it executive, examination, finance, disciplinary. Chopra sir dons many hats. To name a few, he is member of the Central Direct Taxes Advisory Committee under the Ministry of Finance and Direct Taxes Advisory Board. He is also the member of the National Advisory Committee on Accounting Standards. He holds the membership of Indo-UK Task Force on Corporate Affairs and the Task Force of Department of Public Enterprises, Government of India. He has been nominated as the board member of South Asian Federation of Accountants. Shri C. Amarjit Chopra ji represented the Government of India as its nominee on the board of Bank of Baroda. We are very, very happy to have you, sir, and we welcome you very warmly. It is unfortunate that we are unable to send any flowers or present any bouquet to you, but our salutations to you in joining us. Thank you so much for being with us. Our guest of honor today is none other than CA RM Jory sir. At present, Jory sir holds the coveted post of Principal Director of Commercial Auditor CAG of India. CA Mr. CA RM Jory sir is a cost accountant, certified cost accountant, and a certified information system auditor, information system audit and control from Association Chicago, USA. He's also certified internal auditor, Florida, USA, a certified public accountant, American Institute of Public Accountants. CNRM Johri sir also holds the position of Accountant General, Nagaland. In fact, I think there are so many that I can add, which will give me the paucity of time. And besides holding many other prestigious assignments, C.A. Johri Saab was Principal Accountant, Ministry of Education, Government of Botswana. Sir, we are extremely fortunate and honored to have you with us. And as has been said by C.A. Sanjeev Singhal, sir, really looking forward to listening to you. Thank you once again for being with us. Our guest of honor, we also welcome our guest of honor, CMA Sanjay Gupta ji, who was the president of Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India in the year 2017-18. CM Sanjay Gupta ji founded the SGA firm under the provisions of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. He has, there are versatile range of activities that he is involved in, the business consulting audits, costing assurance and development of systems and processes. His client base is spreads across diverse industries. SGA, the firm that he has founded, is the leading cost accountants and financial consultancy firms in India, providing specialized services to the corporates, government, public sector industries, and multinational companies. We are extremely fortunate, sir, and extend a hearty welcome to you on being with us today. Thank you so much for sparing your time to be with us. We are equally fortunate and honored to have with us our patron, Professor Nageshwar Rao, Vice Chancellor, Indira Gandhi National Open University, which is the largest open university, I would say, in the world. Professor Rao has also held similar positions as Vice Chancellor of Uttarakhand Open University, Haldwani. Before this, he is also the chairman of National Task Force to develop parameters for assessing and crediting institutions. Professor Rao has also been the honorary vice chairman of Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, Madhya Pradesh. He received his DPhil from the University of Allahabad and his Cost and Works Accountancy from the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India, Kolkata. He's the author of many books. He also held the chair, he was also the chair professor of Ambedkar Peeth Vikram University, Ujjain. Professor Rao has been conferred with many awards, including Nehru Literacy Award of Indian Adult Education Association by the Vice President of India. Sir, thank you for accepting our invitation to be our guest of honor. It is indeed a proud moment for us to welcome you. Before I call upon CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal to give an overview of the program, ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to tell you that the amount of effort that CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal has put in piecing all the different aspects of this program are really praiseworthy. Despite a very, very hectic schedule, he has been able to make sure that the course content, the resource people, everything was finalized on time so that the course could really take off without any glitches. CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal is president of the Indian Accounting Association NCR chapter, presently partner in assurance practices with SR Bartley Boy Company. He has worked on a wide spectrum of finance functions, which include reporting, compliances, taxation, and treasury with renowned companies. He was also nominated by the government on NACAS. Besides other things, his forte is accounting standards. He is a special invitee with the Board of Studies and resource person for developing guidance notes. He's a man of multi talents with his finger in many pies like the pharma sector, healthcare, media, financial services, etc. And I may also add here, he has received many awards. He's a gold medalist from the University of Delhi. He's also received the Alumni Award from Sri Ram College of Commerce. We are very, very happy that, sir, you are associated with us in not only in this program, but in almost every program that we conduct. Now I hand over the mic to you for giving an overview of the IND AS program that is going to unfold from tomorrow. Over to CA Sanjeev Singhal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rekha Dayal. And before I give an overview, and so my greetings to all. Amarjit Chopra sir, who's my mentor, a friend and a guide. RM Jory sir, it's really been indeed a pleasure to know him from last few years. In fact, last year was the first time when I interacted with him, and I was so impressed that repeatedly, whenever it is possible, I invite him whenever it is possible for him to come in. Dr. S.P. Agarwal, Principal Ramanujan College, Sanjay Gupta ji, my good friend and past President ICMI, Dr. J.L. Gupta, Dr. Rekha Dayal, Dr. Anjali Gupta. So before I give an overview, I would like to ask respected Amarjit Chopra sir, because he's in a different zone, different time zone. So if there are any pressing commitments, sir, if you would like to give your
please.
address, right?
No, you can continue for sir.
Sure, sir. So thank you, sir. So friends, this is really, this course, has a unique distinction. There are 3 NFRA members who are addressing this. RM Jory Saab is a part-time member NFRA. Amarjit Chopra sir will be taking a session tomorrow on the overview and roadmap. He is a part-time member NFRA. Then Anil Sharma ji will be taking a session on 13th of September. He is also a part-time member of NFRA. And besides that, another very illustrious president of ICAI, CA Manoj Fadnis ji, will be taking a session on 12th of September. And not only this, the past chairman of Accounting Standard Board and the current chairman of AOSSG, Dr. S.B. Zavere, will also be taking a session on 30th September. So we have tried to pull in together not only the best, but the people who are unparalleled. Actually, there is no parallel to them, who will be speaking before you on IND AS, on the various facets on IND AS. So this is a 7-day program. First day is tomorrow. We are counting it as a half day because there are 2 hours of 2 sessions on each day and the validatory session on last day. And besides, there are 12 sessions of 2 hours each. So tomorrow we will have the overview and roadmap, IND AS 1, 2, 7, 8, and 10. Then on 6th of September, we'll have IND AS 16, 38, 40, 36, and 105, which will be taken up by CA Achal Jain and CA Manish Goyal. CA Achal Jain is in practice, CA Manish Goel is a deputy financial controller of a Chennai-based company. Then, as I said, on day 4, we'll be covering IND AS 19, 37, 20, 12, and 21, which will be covered by CA Manoj Fadnisji along with CA Manish Goel. Then on day 5, on 13 September, we'll be covering IND AS 23, 116, 103, and 27, which will be taken up by Dr. S.B. Zavere and CA Anil Sharma ji. Day 6, 19 September, we'll be taking IND AS on the consolidation standards, which is 28, 110, 111, 112, and then on the financial instrument 32, 109, 107, and fair value measurement 113, which will be taken up by CA Praveen Kumarji, who is the National Assurance Head of ASA and Associate, and CA Amit Jain, who is working as a senior manager with ENY. Then on day 7, Yagnesh Desai ji will be taking a session on IND AS 115, and CA Amit Garg will be taking a session on 101. So this is the plan that we have put before you. There will be regular assessment, and at the end of it, there will be an online exam as well. So and this program qualifies for a 7-day FDP also for the teachers of various universities. So we have put together a bouquet of all the important standards with the best of the faculties possible, which you could gather or which you can find in India actually. And in the validatory program, also we have invited some very special guests, including some international resource people also. So the Ramanujan College and the Indian Accounting Association has put together a fantastic 7-day certificate course. I would urge you to make the best use of it, because in this kind of a very, very nominal fee, there is no other program actually that is possible. Dr. S.P. Agrawal has kindly agreed to do it. So make the best possible use of it. And on a technical topic, I'll be talking to you tomorrow when I'll be taking the session on some of the standards. So thank you very much for joining, and my greetings to all the guests of honor and the chief guest, and my congratulations to all the participants for enrolling in this program. Kindly make the best use of it, and obviously there's no future without IND AS. In the time to come, even the existing accounting standards are being revised to bring them in line or as close to as IND AS as possible. So obviously it is imperative to know the IND AS. And with this, I would like to hand it over back to Dr. Rekha Dayal, and would be requesting then Amarjit Chopra sir to kindly give his chief guest address. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal sir. I think it's a very detailed scheduling of the program that you have given, which is going to, I'm sure your efforts are going to translate into a very satisfying and very, very good experience for all the participants. Now, I would call upon our chief guest, uh, CA Amarjit Chopra sir, to give his presidential address.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha Dayal, and of course, my greetings to Mr. R.M. Johri, Mr. Sumat Agrawal, Mr. Dr. Sanjeev Singhal, Mr. Rao, Mr. J.L. Gupta, and all others whose names I may not be able to take even now for that particular matter. I think it has been a wonderful experience with Ramanujam College. I think that when I was there, it was known as Deshbandhu Evening College. It was not known as Ramanujam College. It is under the stewardship of Dr. S.P. Agrawal that it has become Ramanujam College. And I think the kind of building that he has been able to build, it's absolutely remarkable. The kind of job that he has done is absolutely remarkable. But I think we are here today for a very different purpose altogether. And in the esteemed company of Jodi Saab and of course Sanjeev ji, and whatever I've been told is that a large number of stalwarts will be coming here in the form of Dr. S.B. Jhavre, Mr. Manoj Fadnis, Mr. Anil Sharma to deliver the talks. You see, so far as I'm concerned, I always have maintained one thing, at least IND AS is one thing where my life comes a full circle, if you really ask me. In 2006, the concept paper was developed, whether we should bring IFRS to this country or not. My guru, my mentor at that particular point of time, Mr. S.C. Vasudeva, happened to be the chairman of the Accounting Standard Board. And I succeeded him in the Accounting Standard Board as the chairman of the Accounting Standard Board in 2007. And I had the privilege of getting it approved from the council, this particular concept paper. I got it approved from the council. Yes, we need IFRS in this country. And believe me, at that particular point of time, one had never thought that what is going to happen in future. But yes, we were keen that IFRS should come into the country. And the reasons were few actually in that. Number one was that the industry had been feeling the pinch that why should we prepare the financial statements twice? Companies like Reliance, Mahindra and Mahindra, Tatas, who had raised money from abroad at that particular point of time, had to prepare two sets of financial statements. One they will prepare for the Indian regulators, and then one they will prepare for the other regulators where they had raised the money. So they used to, so there was a cost of conversion basically from the Indian gaps to the other gaps. So we deemed it fit, let's do it. And the other reason I can share with you it can be said in a lighter vein, but I was quite serious about it. Let me be very clear. Pakistan had adopted IFRS long back. And we cannot be seen to be lagging behind Pakistan. We can seem to be lagging behind anybody for that matter. But not behind Pakistan under any circumstances. And we never wanted to be seen as chartered accountants who were in any way inferior to the Pakistan chartered accountant. And I can go on record to say this very frankly. I have no hesitation to say it. Because whenever our people would go to Middle East or somewhere else, they will ask, have you studied IFRS? They will say no. Pakistani would say, yes, I have done it, because there it was mandatory. And a small country like Sri Lanka had already adopted it in full, basically. So I think we could not have been seen to be lagging behind this particular thing. So we said we will go ahead with IFRS. But the problem at that particular point of time was that we will go to the government, we'll go to the other regulators. Whenever we'll go alone, they will say, how does it matter? Our accounting standards are doing well. Let's see whatever it should go on. And nothing was being taken seriously, believe me. And I'm very clear on that. But whenever Sir David Tweedy, who was the chairman of IASB at that particular point of time, International Accounting Standard Board, he will come in, or President IFAC would come in, and we'll take him along to the government, and government people will tell us, no, please go ahead with it. It's such a wonderful idea. We must bring an IFRS in this country. But there was no seriousness on the part of any of the regulators to bring it, except for the ICI. That was a factual position to be in. But then came 2009. And in 2009, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was known not to be speaking much, but then he went to G20 and committed there that we will implement IFRS in this country effective 1/4/2011. And then the hell broke loose in the MCA. And MCA was after us that please make sure that you are able to pronounce it. You are able to bring on those particular standards. One hitch that was always coming, and I was very clear on that as the chairman ASB, and of course in 2009 I had become the vice president. I was absolutely clear whenever Sir David Tweedy would take it anywhere, we will say that we will not adopt IFRS. We will only converge with IFRS. And when I became the president, there was, believe me, on 12th February 2010, there was no standard available with us. And we had to do all the work effective 1/4/2011. Industry was looking blank. And industry knew that we will not be able to do it. Let me be very clear. And most of our own fraternity people would say that you will not be able to do it. But I, as a president of the institute, was committed, and we as a council were committed that we will not let down the commitment of the government under any circumstances before G20. And Mr. Manoj Fadnis, who will be addressing you people few days after, he was the chairman of the Accounting Standard Board in my tenure. And we combined together and we said, I told Manoj, under no circumstances we may allow this commitment of the government to go away, basically. And we must make sure that we are able to make fulfill the commitment of the government before G20. I have forgotten the number of meetings ASB must have held. I have forgotten how many meetings we might have held, because we'll hold a meeting, then we'll adjourn that meeting. We'll not give a new name because otherwise, new number, because otherwise you have to give a minimum day's notice. So we'll adjourn a particular council meeting so that we could consider these standards. But we were very clear, we will converge, we will not adopt. The reason being that our accounting standards are being notified under the Companies Act. And we cannot say that we'll pick up every word of the standard which will be given to us by the ISB and we'll just cut, copy, paste and do it. Yes, one may say that it is 90% same or 95% same, maybe more than that is the same. But we must reserve the right to change it wherever we feel that our industry becomes uncompetitive because of that. Or maybe our customs trade usages don't permit it to happen. So we said we will only converge, we will not adopt under any circumstances. By November 2010, we had 35 standards in our hand, which were duly approved by the council and duly approved by NACAS also in December. And there are funny situations where there are funny incidents which do happen, you see, because cultures of the different countries determine some of these standards. We have a related party standard, if you all know, as AS18, and we define the relative as mother, father, brother, sister, son, daughter, and spouse. Internationally, probably there is no concept of spouse at all. So internationally, they call it as domestic partner. Now, when this standard came before the council for approval, in council, there were few of the gentlemen and one of the joint secretaries of the government of India from MCA, Mrs. Renuka Kumar, they said nothing doing. We will not allow the word domestic partner to be used in Indian context at all. We will use the word spouse. And most of the people felt that we are not actually inspired by whatever serials Krishna, this Kapoor gives us. So we will use the word spouse only. We are not used entitled. We should not be using the word domestic partner. Ekta Kapoor serials, we are not influenced at all, basically. So we said we will only go by only one word, and that's spouse. But then when we took it to NACAS, saying, sir, the word domestic partner is not to be used, it will be spouse only and it will be son, daughter only. Mr. Maligam sent it back again. He said, nothing doing. Whatever is the wording of the, you can say in the IFRS, retain the same wording. And the wording came out to be domestic partner, her children or his children, your children and children of both. Basically, because that is how the culture of the different countries can determine the accounting standards also at times. Because that kind of relationships can be there. So we came back and gave that particular IND AS. And of course, we said we will not term it as IFRS, we will term it as IND AS. It's the new coin that we gave, new term that we gave, actually coined it and gave it to the government. The government very happily accepted it. Came December and industry now became restless. The industry which was thinking that institute will not be able to do it, institute suddenly saw that it is happening. And when they saw it is suddenly happening, at least the top group of this country never wanted it to happen. Let me be very honest in admitting, they never wanted it to happen that India should come in. They were very comfortable with the Indian standards which are already being pronounced and were being practiced. Because the kind of disclosures that these Indias requires is absolutely different from what our own standards actually require. So then started the main thing. What will be the treatment in the taxation? What will be the treatment in the indirect taxes? Because you see, the problem is, if under IND AS 18, which was IS 18 at that particular point of time, I had to say that if the sale and the finance component could be different, if I was selling something at a deferred credit to somebody, in that particular case, the finance element had to be segregated and the sale agreement element had to be segregated. So if these two elements had to be segregated, the sale tax was the VAT person will say, I have nothing, I don't recognize this finance element at all. I will like to tax it as sale, basically. And what happens under section 192 to 195, basically with regard to the deduction of tax at source, with regard to the finance payment in all those cases. I think these were some of the complications. And what happens? A revenue officer will like to tax all kind of notional gains, but he will not like to allow any kind of notional losses. So all those complications came in. So we constituted a group under Dr. Mr. Jayant Gokhale, and we knew that government will tomorrow come back and say that you didn't guide us properly. So we hosted it on the website of the institute saying that these are our suggestions, section wise, language wise, what changes need to be brought in into the income tax structure, basically. We hosted it on the website of the institute that these are the suggestions that we have made to the government. Otherwise, the government would have said that institute did not do it. Let's be very clear about it. Because at times when you are the president of the institute, you are heading an institute, you have to be very sure that institute doesn't get a bad name. Then the people started saying, where are the actuaries? Actuaries are not there. How will these fair valuations take place? We answered all those questions and answered all those questions successfully. But then industry is industry. Industry has the real muscle power. Profession doesn't have the muscle power. Profession only has a pen basically in the hand, nothing more than that, basically. So ultimately, industry saw to it that the implementation of the IND AS was deferred. But then came 2014. And then came 2014. And when the first budget of the new government came in, there was one line used by Mr. Arun Jaitley, the late Arun Jaitley. I think one of those leaders who always was pragmatic also and was having vision basically of a different India. He wrote in one line there that we will be implementing IND AS in this country. He didn't use the word IFRS. He used the word in the budget, IND AS in the country, effective 1/4/2016 and voluntarily from 1/4/2015. And I was entrusted the responsibility of heading the NACAS at that time. That is how the life came full circle, if you ask me. So then we sat down and whatever work we had done earlier, believe me, whatever work we had done earlier, that came handy. Now what we were supposed to do, whatever changes International Accounting Standard Board had brought to these standards, we had to incorporate properly if it suited us. If it didn't suit us, we didn't bring in those changes basically. So when I come back to you tomorrow to deliver a talk basically on these overview, I will tell you what kind of you can say divergences we had basically on some of the points. We didn't agree. We said no, we'll like to go differently compared to the IFRS. There were at least 9 of such points on which we didn't agree with the IESB. Though ISB kept on saying, no, you must adopt. We said, no, we'll only converge. And I think we have been wiser. And today I can say a lot of pride, a lot of sense of pride on some of the issues. ISB has come around and has accepted our contention and they have changed their accounting standard. I think that is how the things have been. Because I have been telling the successive presidents, and I think that is going to be my contention in NAFRA also, basically. I'm very clear in NFRA also. My contention is going to be, we should be seen to be leaders. We should not be seen to be followers internationally. I think that's very, very important. We should be seen to be leaders in the accounting and auditing. Why should we be seen to be followers? I think we have a very strong base. We have a membership exceeding 350,000. We have the best of the brains, absolutely no doubt about it. We can't keep on following the agenda of certain people only. I think we have our own agenda. We have our own people. We have our own energy levels. We have our own contentions. And I can tell you, some of the auditing standards, the way these have been brought in, though one has been a part of the council at that particular point of time also, today I feel that if every line has to be read in that context, I think virtually it is more by breach we are complying it. It is not by compliance. We'll be breaching it more than by rather than complying it. So we need to have a relook at all those auditing standards also. And in certain cases, we should be having a relook at the accounting standards also. But yes, we have very successfully implemented effective 1/4/2016 the IND AS. In the first phase, it was with regard to the all listed companies having net worth exceeding 250 crores, having net worth exceeding 500 crores. And in the second, and all the non-listed entities which was having a net worth exceeding 500 crores. In the second phase, we implemented it in respect of all listed entities, but unlisted entities only where the net worth was exceeding 250 crores. In the third phase, 1/4/2018, we have implemented it for NBFCs. My only regret in the life will be that we couldn't implement it for banks and insurance companies. As Sanjeev knows it very well, that IRDA was right from the beginning very, very hesitant, and they were absolutely non-cooperative. I always talk bluntly. I never mince words. They were always not willing to implement it for reasons best known to them. I think LIC has been the main bone of contention. If you ask me, LIC never wanted it to happen for certain reasons. We gave them all kind of choices. We said, whatever you want to say, you take it today, but adopt it at least. What you say that you don't want this particular clause, we'll say that we don't give this particular clause. But at least later on at a particular point of time converge with the entire world. Don't do it that you don't want to adopt it at all. So far as banks are concerned, RBI is very keen to adopt it, very frankly. Our RBI is very keen to implement it in the case of the banking sector. But somehow or the other, the situation was not conducive. The economy went on to a slow mode, basically. And now after COVID-19, I don't know what kind of a slow mode it is going to be. Basically, we are in the hyper slow motion mode now. And if we now want to implement IND AS in the banking industry today with the ECL model, expected credit loss model, how much capital would be required by the banks? Nobody knows, basically. And whether the government will be in a position to give that kind of a recapitalization, I'm very, very doubtful about it. So I personally feel that it has been pushed back by another 2 to 3 years minimum. I don't think that earlier I used to think that it will come by 1/4/2022, but I don't think that now it will come even in 1/4/2022 because the way the things have happened, the way the Supreme Court is asking them to waive the interest for that matter, which I personally feel is may not be correct even. But I personally feel the banks are going to face many problems because of COVID-19 and may not find it so easy to implement ECL model in the case of the banking industry in the periods to come. But let's live in a state of hope. I am a born optimist. Very frankly, when everything was not going well, we had a committee called IND AS Implementation Committee. Even after Jorisa, you will be very happy to know, even when the government had deferred the implementation of IND AS, we still had a committee of IND AS implementation. And we introduced the IND AS or the IFRS to the entire Middle East. We held the training programs there. We held training programs for Bhutan. If today Bhutan has got India, the IFRS, it's because of India. And I think we have made tremendous effort in that particular direction. We went to Mali also for the various programs. I think, Myanmar. So we had the courage of conviction of seeing that this is coming. In Nepal, actually, we held a lot many training programs. So we had the courage of conviction, and we felt that it is bound to come. You can't stop it. Once something starts, there is absolutely no way that you will be able to stop it. IRDA will not be able to block it for the lifetime. IRDA can block it for 3 years, 4 years. That's the maximum. Ultimately, the financial sector, both banking and insurance, will have to go together. There's no way that IRDA will be able to say, no, we will not implement it. So I have been very optimistic. Will continue to be optimistic. Yes, there are many challenges, Jorisha. Let me tell you that some of the industries are using it or abusing it. I'll use the word more abusing it, this subjectivity. And I think the bigger firms have a greater responsibility of making sure that it is not abused. But somewhere or the other, it is not happening. I can tell you some of the deals which have been structured for the debentures which have, for the money which has come from abroad. Even in certain cases, it could be the cases of money laundering. And today, people may like to structure a deal that ultimately it gets converted into equity at no price. And the other person gets no money back at the end of the day. I can tell you, even those kind of deals are being structured. But my humble appeal to all the bigger firms, whether these are big four or the other bigger firms, please make sure that these deals are not structured in a manner which actually flouts the accounting more. Not rather, I will not say that it flouts the accounting, rather it flouts the basic principles of financial discipline. I think that's very important at the end of the day. So thank you very much, Sanjeev. Thank you very much, Gupta ji, Jori Saab, Rekha ji, and of course Sumat, for that particular matter, for giving this opportunity to share some of my thoughts of this overall journey. The other part on overview of the IND AS, one will like to talk tomorrow on that particular issue. But thanks a lot. And on this eve of Teachers' Day, I can say that JL Gupta ji can be seen as a teacher by us. There is no doubt about it. And I can salute before you, sir. Salute before your energy. And salute before anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much,
Thank you very much, sir.
Amarjit Chopra sir, for a very lucid, overview of what you've given just now. And I think you've rightly pointed out that it must have been very disappointing for you to see that we were lagging behind Pakistan and Sri Lanka. And your efforts made sure that at least now we are what we call as the leading country there. And we agree with you, sir, wholeheartedly that we should be seen as leaders and not followers. On that note, we again would say we are extremely grateful to you for having joined us from such a far off place and with such a different time zone. Happy Teachers' Day to you too, sir. Thank you so much for being with us. We are really grateful to you. Now I would call upon CA RM Jori Saab to share his thoughts with the audience and the participants here.
Yeah, sure. Good evening to all. And in fact, it has been a pleasure to hear Dr. Amarjit Chopra taking us through the journey, long journey towards Indian accounting standards. In fact, to all the panelists, meaning JL Gupta ji, Sanjeev, Agrawal ji and all, well, it's a new experience for me to talk to you. But yes, I must appreciate first of all that you have made the arrangements for us to be able to talk to the people through this digital media. You know, it is an achievement in itself that shows our faith in the belief that come what may, difficulties may come, but we will devise suitable ways of interacting and going forward. So that is that spirit needs to be saluted. And in fact, now with this medium becoming so successful, I'm sure we can sort of those limitations of space and boundary and time can be overcome, and we can sitting anywhere in any place interact with the people at large. This is one positive development and we need to take it forward. In fact, all the participants have an accounting knowledge, and I know they know about accounting standards and all, what is the importance of standards. But certain basic things I thought I'll share with you. Meaning, since it's almost 35 years when we graduated from Shillong College of Commerce, meaning different areas we have seen in private sector, in PricewaterhouseCoopers, I was there, then in government, then in international assignments, had an opportunity to read the accounting standards and in different countries, how they are followed and all. So based on that, meaning if you really see that in our country, the profession as such, the act was passed in 1949. It was passed before the constitution was promulgated. That shows the level of importance which was felt in this particular field by the independent India. And in fact, that gives us a strength that it is one of the most important things, meaning economic development is one thing, other things are there. But if we cannot keep an account of our operations in a manner which can be understood by people at large, then perhaps we have not taken the first step correctly. In fact, accounting, meaning we all define it in different ways, but I'm going to say in a layman's language that accounting is the language through which the rest of the world knows what an organization does. If we see it in that term, meaning any language, we are speaking a language, but language is meaningful only when the speaker and the listener understand it in the same sense. If they understand it in different senses, then it's not a language. So if accounting has to be in language, then perhaps it has to be understood both by the preparers and the readers of the statements in the same manner. And this is possible only through accounting standards. If there is no standardization, that everyone will interpret the things according to his own convenience and abilities, and it will be understood in a different manner by different people. Meaning, if you really see that world over IFRS is being followed, maybe around 70-75% of the countries. And in fact, with globalization, with becoming part of the global supply chain, with so much investment coming to India, anyone who makes an investment in India would like to first study the financial statements. So if your statements do not comply with the international requirements, perhaps they will have to be recast for anyone to form an opinion about what type of operations you are doing. And it will be a very complicated exercise to facilitate integrating into the global world or be a part of the globalization process. It was very necessary that our accounting standards sync with the IFRS. And perhaps accounts is not one area which has got the importance which it should. In fact, had it been the case, perhaps it could have been implemented earlier and so much of struggle was not warranted. But then it is like that. In fact, few people have a belief that our basic thing is auditing. Then why accounting? In fact, if you see the name of the institute, it's called Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. It is not said about Chartered Auditors of India. So why accounts is being given that much of importance? The reason is that the accounts can prevent a mistake, whereas audit can report on it ex post facto. That is something difference which we have to be very, very clear about, that what role accounting plays and what role the audit plays. And in fact, perhaps no effective audit can be done without a meaningful accounts being in place. So it is a prerequisite for audit also. So that those things which we have to be very, very clear about. And in fact, accounting standards for that matter prescribe the benchmarks against which the audit can be done, in which you comment that if it is not followed, what is the impact on the financial statements. So those are the few things which if we keep in mind the importance of accounts and the fact that accounts will be led to have more meaning when accounting standards are in place, then perhaps we will be able to appreciate the importance of this in the overall scenario. So this is something which is very important, and perhaps the students and participants and persons who are practitioners, they should be able to appreciate this fact that, look, this is the situation, this is the base. And if we don't have a very solid foundation, perhaps it will be very difficult for us to build the edifice on it. And in fact, convergence. Convergence is a very bright idea. I would put it this way, that anywhere you should not reinvent the wheel, because that not only consumes more time and effort, but it may not be worth the effort. So perhaps we have to learn from the experiences of others and see that what suits us under certain circumstances and then apply it to our ground realities. So convergence was a very smart step. And in fact, if convergence had not been done, I wonder whether we would have been able to implement them at such speed, you know. So this is something which is kudos to the vision of the people who were spearheading it and then trying to see that this is done. In fact, when we talk about accounting and all these things, at times we become very theoretical. So I thought I'll give you some my practical experience of dealing with accounts, one or two cases which were so glaring, meaning anyone would now start looking the financial statements in that manner. The first case, interesting, now we can quote. It was HMT. If you remember, in mid-90s, last century, HMT was the only profit-making public sector undertakings. And as on date, HMT has been wound up. In fact, an analysis or a case study was done that what really happened to HMT, because those people who wore those watches would support me that they were the best quality watches. And in fact, the quality was so good. If they say 3 mm gold plating, it was 3 mm gold plating, unlike others, you know. And they were really doing very good business. But as we all do in audit, the post analysis was done that what went wrong that this company had to be wound up. When we went into the details and saw the whole model, in fact, Titan was launched in 1996. Titan had an advantage of having good models, very trendy, young generation used to like it. And in fact, that did impact the sales of HMT for that matter. Then we examine down below that what is the scene now, why the losses are mounting in HMT. HMT had a system of having dealers all over India, and they used to do stock transfer. And the moment they used to do stock transfer, they used to treat it as sales in their books of accounts. And when you treat something as sales, you used to book your profits, you used to pay your taxes, you used to pay your bonuses, you used to pay everything. But later on, when the sales were less, the dealer said, we want to return the watches to HMT. A question arose, was it a sale at the first point or not? In fact, when we went into the agreement and saw, it was a stock transfer, it was not a sale. They used to get a commission out of it. The very fact it was treated as sale, in fact, inflated their profits over the years, and they paid taxes, they paid bonuses, they paid all performance linked things, which led the country or the sort of the company to almost death, you know. If you really see, in retrospect, it was audited by everyone. It was audited by the chartered accountant, it was audited even by CAG. No one could detect it. So that brings me to the point that in accounting standard, what are the things which are important, which you need to look into? In fact, I would sort of put it in 4 different stages. You know, any accounting standard which you're going to read, because most of the part of it is English. So what is the operative part which you need to concentrate so that it becomes a learning, not a teaching, you know, and you can apply it in a real life situation. The first thing in accounting standard is the point of recognition. At what point it will be recognized in the books of accounts. The second step is the manner of recognition. That is the valuation part. Third is the presentation, and the fourth is the disclosure. So these are the 4 parts of an accounting standard. So whenever you read an accounting standard, you should read it from the point of view that what requires to be done when it will undergo in implementation. So what is the point of recognition? In case of HMT, the point of recognition was not correct as it should have been. Had it been the right point, then perhaps they would not have committed that mistake. And in fact, audit is only a test check to express an opinion at a later date. And perhaps we are more interested in seeing other things rather than seeing the application of accounting standards. Had we seen the application of accounting standards in a correct manner, perhaps it could have been detected much earlier and company could not have continued with that exercise for a long period of time. So there lies the importance of an accounting standard, so that what impact it can make to the functioning of an organization and its financial statements and its interpretations by the people later on. So if we are careful about these things, I think we will understand the accounting standards in a more practical manner. In fact, another instance which I would quote is that this your FCI, Food Corporation of India, it's a big company, or rather a corporation. It's act of the parliament, and every year it gets something around 2 lakh crores as food subsidy from government of India. But since it is not a company under the Companies Act, they say, I will make my own format. I will have my own accounting standards. I will do whatever. In fact, their accounts were more of a cash account. They keep on spending on the administrative instructions of the government of India. And at the end of the day, they just put a bill to government of India and show this much is receivable from government of India. So when we were auditing, I said, have you ever asked government of India that they are going to pay you this much money? And government of India has its own fiscal constraints. So they pay amount as per what they can afford to see their fiscal deficit up to a particular level. So it was receivable for years to come. And then since FCI have to pay to the farmers, they borrowed from a consortium of banks at higher rates of interest. And then they funded that. And that interest also becomes a part of books of accounts. And that also is booked to government of India. So in the process, what used to happen is that the liabilities or the expenses which should be in the books of government of India were in the books of FCI, and huge amounts. And in fact, if someone would have known the concept of separate legal entity, someone would have seen that what it matters, how it is to be correctly reflected, perhaps that anomaly could have been dealt with. But then we have to go the hard way. We gave a negative opinion because the CAG was the sole auditor there. And then we tried to persuade them and we told them that, look, this is the importance, because financial statements at the end of the day should reflect the ground realities. If you show something as an asset, it should be an asset. If you show something as an stock, it should be an stock. And it should be of the value for which it has been depicted in books of accounts. If it is a receivable, it should be receivable by you. Nothing less than that. But if you don't take these things into accounts, then perhaps you just make an accounts, but not accounts in the real sense. And the whole meaning or the justification that this accounting is a language to the rest of the world is defeated. And in fact, these two examples are just giving to highlight the fact, the importance of accounting standards in the overall scenario. So perhaps the time has come in which we appreciate the importance of the accounting standard, and an accounting standard, what are the operative parts of those accounting standard and why we should be careful about, and one small slippage, what it can result in it, what type of impact it will have on the financial statement. When we are able to assess that what would be the impact due to non-implementation of a standard, but if then we will become more serious about understanding it in that spirit and apply it in a very professional manner, so that financial statements ultimately present the right picture. Meaning, it's a document. Anyone who's associated with it will take a pride if it is something which adds value to the person who's reading it and taking a decision based on it. If it is not, then whether it is a compiler or an auditor, they can always find fault at a later date that what went wrong. But perhaps accounting is the stage where mistakes can be prevented from happening, and then we can make statements which all of us can be proud of. So I thought because these participants are, some of them may not have that much experience in this field, or perhaps would not have seen it from this point of view, I thought I'll bring these two instances and the fact that accounting standards is the key, and perhaps we have to take it in all seriousness forward so that we can add value to the whole process. That's all I have to say in this, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jory Saab. Thank you very much.
Excellent, sir. Excellent.
We
Excellent
feel honored.
examples.
Thank you so much, CA RM Johari sir. And I think Sanjeev Bhai was right when he said at the outset only that he has heard you at so many places and that we also would benefit. And sir, we did. I think it was such a clear picture, such a clarity that you gave us. And, comparing it in terms of what accounts are and what audits are, I think you gave You gave a very, very clear picture of what it should be. We are very happy and extremely grateful for you to have spared your time to be with us, and we are looking forward to our association with you on a long-term basis. Once again, on behalf of
Jori
Ramakrishna
sir,
Indian Accounting
Jori sir,
Association,
I will
I
like
thank
to
you.
say one thing. You gave two examples. Rekha ji, sorry to interrupt you.
No, no, not at all, sir.
Jori sir, Jori sir has given two examples of HMT and
Food
FCI.
corporation. Food
As the
corporation.
luck would have it, I have audited few wings of theirs, both of FCI as well as HMT. And I think my reports, and this is prior to 92, let me also tell you that. My reports on all those accounts have been the kind of serious breaches of accounting standards that they had done was mind-blowing, actually, particularly in HMT. Every kind of accounting standard was breached. We had audited at that time Pinjore unit, and we used to find that the total sales, it's an example that I'm giving to the entire members here. The sales of the tractor division was 1/3 of the sales of the total HMT, basically. But the profit that the tractor division used to give was 3 times of the profit that the HMT used to show, basically. And in HMT watches, whatever the more the production, the more was the loss. Even their variable cost was not being met at that particular point of time. So I can tell you, I have the experience of that. And Food Corporation of India is, I used to give it a different nomenclature altogether, because they used to say that we verify the quality of the paddy, basically, or you can say visual inspection. There used to be two inspections, visual inspection and lab inspection. Every time when it was the visual inspection, it will show the best possible results. And when it will go to lab, it will be different kind of a result. So I used to always say one thing, that you see, if it is a hit and trial also has to be both sides. It cannot be just one side of it. And so far as their assets were concerned, I don't want to comment upon it. The paddy quality procurement was concerned, I don't want to comment upon it at all, basically. Then there was one particular auditor by name of Mr. M.K. Goswami, who audited centrally FCI, basically, at Delhi. He gave not true and fair at that time, mind it.
In fact, we also gave a negative opinion.
And after
doesn't
that,
mean anything, these accounts.
but Jori Saab, the beauty is that once Mr. M.K. Goswami gave it not true and fair, the government withdrew the audit from the chartered accountants. That's also a fact.
Well, I won't know, that would have been much earlier.
But I'm telling you, after that, the government withdrew the audit from the chartered accountant, saying that no, this is not done. You can't give FCI a not true and fair view. And FCI really deserved not true and fair view by all means.
In fact, we gave it not a true and fair view, and their whole board came to us. We had a long meeting, and they said, how can CAG do this? And in fact, he says, do you know the process? Meaning we have to go, if we amend our standards, the format, it has to be notified in the official gazette, and it's a long drawn process. We are 3 years in areas, please help us out, and whatnot. And then we said, nothing doing, enough is enough. And now they have prepared the format, which is much more in compliance with the format of the Companies Act, the earlier spoiled Schedule 6, and they are following the accounting standards.
We did both problematic units of FCI, Punjab also and Haryana also, believe me. And Punjab, it was, I don't want to comment, very frankly. And I think those problems remain even today, because having audited SBI, all the food procurement of FCI, even today, there are many problems. Anyway, I don't want to get into that particular area. But the point I'm trying to drive you home is that these problems have been there for ages and decades. And I think the government has ignored it over the years, because the government also doesn't want these problems to be solved. Let's also be very clear.
No, in fact, like when we had discussions, even it went to the PMO level, it was seen as, food subsidy is something which is a very sensitive topic for any party or any politics or government. and says that if you comment on a food subsidy or anything, because you know what they show is food subsidy, hardly 30 to 40% of that is food subsidy. The rest is not food subsidy. That is losses and you know interest payment
Inefficiency.
and other things, you know. And in fact, he said if you say that, then it will have graver implications for any government, for and they could not take it, you know. And that was the reason. But what point I'm trying to make is that if you do not follow the accounting standards, do not follow a prescribed thing, what type of anomalies can creep in and what type of judgments, wrong judgments can be taken based on it. So this is something that shows the importance of an accounting standard, to be able to appreciate the financial statements better. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much. I will definitely like to, today I don't want to take the time of the other participants, but
We'll
I
have
definitely
a
like to
separate
sit down
session,
with you.
so we will discuss in detail. Yeah,
Because some of
okay.
the public sector undertakings has given me such an experience, which is beyond my imagination, basically. Anyway, thank you very much, SP, and thank you, Rekha ji. I think I will like to leave it at this particular point
No
of
doubt
time.
about it.
Thank
No
you.
doubt
Thank you,
about
sir.
it.
Thank you for
We
joining
feel
us.
so
honored.
much, sir.
Thank you,
Chopra
sir.
sir, we feel honored. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
I think from the point of view of the participants, the audience here, it must have been a very, very interesting and enlightening session, because the interventions and the inputs given by both our president, our chairperson, the chief guest, and our guest of honor, Jory Saab, they were, I think, extremely valuable and a great learning experience. Thank you once again to CARM Jory ji and to CA Amarjeet Chopra ji for being with us today evening. Now we have another versatile speaker, CMA Sanjay Gupta ji, who's going to address us. Over to CMA Sanjay Gupta ji.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. First of all, I'm really thankful to Dr. Agarwal and Dr. Jail Gupta ji and the entire the college, Ramanuja College, being inviting me and making a part of your family. Because this is the area, which is very close to the heart, and especially, when we were working this globally and within India and different countries, we could see a lot of different areas and different dimension, and especially when Amarjeet Chopra ji, when he has spoken, about all the India, he's a creator. So I think with nothing much to say, I won't be talking much on India as such in particular. And I'm really glad, when the Jory sir was sharing his experiences. Majorly, I think I fully agree with Jory sir, what is the standardization all about? We produce so many books, so many documents, but finally, the user and the reader should are on the same language, or they understand on the same and common parallels. So the moment they both are on the same levels, I think it's a win-win for any accounting standard or any definition of accounting. So generally what is we're seeing, in today's time when we are moving towards accounting standards, even, being our Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India, what we could see today is in today's time, the moment when we go to International Federation of Accountants or the CAPA, which are the premium bodies, or the South Asian Federation of Accountants, only one thing which is coming in the world. Today we are becoming more like a global, and any investors now, whatever happening in US is impacting more India or China, what is happening. So even for the accountants, the language and the standard has to be somewhat aligned to each other. So the moment an investor, because there was an era when the people used to be, only reward the companies which used to benefit only the shareholders. The company used to give the maximum dividends. They used to be the most regarded company by the stock markets. But now over a period of time, the definition has moved from shareholders to stakeholders. Especially in this COVID time, you could see now there's a different verticals. The companies, the people who are going to survive moving until unless you're not taking good care of your society, your vendors, your employees. So things are going to a different level altogether today. So the moment when we go for the new thing which is emerging out is the sustainability reporting, or we say integrity reporting. Even when we go to different countries, especially even the IFAC, what we're talking about, finally, where we are reaching. Apart from the financial capital, there are many other capitals which are making a lot of difference today. And majorly, it is the financial capital, there's a natural capital, social capital, and the human capital, which is making more of a difference in today's time. And when you're looking at any decision, whenever you as an investor, apart from the standard, what you look at, what is the impact finally coming out of it? If you want to go for a human capital, especially we have seen in the IT companies, human intellect is getting more important. What is the human capital? What is the valuation when we are going for the valuation? How the valuation comes in IT companies? It is purely based on the human. Whenever we are acquiring any mining companies and all that, we have to see a lot of social factors, the acquisition. Many of the projects India could not succeed and survive. It is not the projects were bad or there was less on the financial capital. It is the different reasons. There was an environmental issue, there was a social issues. So these are the key factor which is coming into the board today. We are standardizing it. What we are moving towards is, in a different world today. Because generally we could see, we have seen most of the companies, they're coming out with a very good profit. Their turnover is increasing day by day, but the losses are further enhancing. So what could be the reason for the same? And somewhat we have seen in most of the companies, maybe, the company's turnover is increasing and the profitability is also increasing. But there's no reason company has not done anything on the same. Especially if you look at, the companies like the innovation, the crude, let's say the crude prices goes up or high. So automatically even the company may be inefficient. Their costs would have gone high, but just to the fluctuation in the crude prices, you're getting a better profits. So what is getting more important today? It's not your turnovers and not your other factors. So what is the reason what we are looking at today is the quantitative and the qualitative analysis. So which is the per unit, finally how the efficiency is getting measured, the standardization of the accounting standards and how that it is moving today. It is through mainly the qualitative and the quantitative factors. And today when we look at the board, when we say we have so many IND AS, IFRS and so many other things happening, but what finally, level at the different stakeholders level, what is getting important, what is the value which is being created, what does you bring on the table after even having the accounting statements, when you read between the walls. So what is actually how you foresee the market? So what has been value has been created. So and the value, that is a key factor which is emerging out today. And generally the moment we are going into this analysis, and like Dr. Sanjeev Singhal today, if you talk in the industry, in the professional arena, in the professional world, not in India, globally now, the moment any name of any accounting standard comes, people are just, coinciding with the Dr. Sanjeev Singhal. I could see, he has written so many books. So the moment you Google accounting standard, you will find Sanjeev Singhal parallel to that. So I really salute his efforts and the zeal, the way he is progressing and the going on. And that, if you look at, in such a, I could going through the entire 7 days certificate course and the faculty development, I think you people are bring the best of the intellect of the country together. And 7 days, I think for the people who are going to, undergo this certificate course, they are getting the best of the, I'm saying best of the talent and the best of the intellect with the decades of experience. Getting all of them together is definitely an achievement. So if this kind of a things keeps on happening, I think it's going to get a lot of things, thought process to the people. And generally when we do now in the costing time, especially even the health sector, you talk about whether telecom or you can say in the pharma sector, what is getting more important? So finally the survival, you would have seen in today's time, even the best of the companies, like the idea of Vodafone, you can see. One is the Birla's company, Vodafone is one of the biggest giants. They're finding it difficult to survive. So what is the reason, so when finally your accounting standards and the global things, which are the risk factors, when your accounting standards are helping us today to make a lot of standardization and bringing a lot of things on the table, a lot of material is getting converted, which is helping the board, the directors and the people who matters to take a qualitative and the right decision at the right point of time. The competition is increasing. We could see, the people, some of the companies have made best of the times in the COVID. Flow of the information and how you read between the things. So this is the key factors. And we could see even with the different thought processes with the IR, even with the Sanjay, Dr. Sanjeev also heading that part. So we could see, when we are talking about all this natural capital, social capital, we are talking about these areas. we're talking about the global reporting standards, when we're talking about the IFEC, the bodies, and especially after the formation of Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India and the registered values of India, IPBI, we could see a lot of things. India is now in a different pedestal. Everybody is looking at India. So why it is happening? Because whatever the thought process, when I underwent a training of World Bank on IBBI, and when we given our thought process, what we are moving into in London, even they were amazed. Possibly we have so much of diversity, so many issues. After that, all these thought processes, new things emerging, especially after the COVID, the way we work, the way we do, the way we are working, things are changing globally and internally also. So I'm pretty sure, like we have done as a cost and management accountants, especially this kind of a courses on the and this kind of a thought process and provoking sessions will really going to help us a lot. And keeping the paucity of time, I will restrict my things. And once again, I'm really grateful being a part of this. And I'm sure this 7 days of deliberation will bring a lot of, thought processes, a lot of changes. And I'm really glad again to the Dr. Agarwal, Jail Gupta sir, and to Rekha Diyal madam for bringing me here. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much, CMA Sanjay Gupta ji. In this short time, you've been able to highlight with such clarity what is the need of the hour. The global perspective and how definitions are changing from shareholders to stakeholders, the concept of sustainable reporting and how the human capital is important. I'm sure that in the near future, we shall get more time to listen in detail about all these aspects and have a longer chat with you. But it was definitely a very, very happy occasion that you found time to be with us. Thank you once again for sharing your thoughts and words of wisdom with us. Thank you, Sanjay Gupta ji. Now I would like to call upon uh, our patron, Professor Nageshwar Rao Saab, our distinguished guest of honor, to share his thoughts with us.
Good evening to all of you. It is the courtesy of J.L. Gupta. I am the permanent guest here, and also S.P. Agrawal, and odd man out from this entire lot of good speakers.
Our patron, sir.
Listening carefully to CMA Amarjit Chopra ji. He may not remember me, but I have met him long back when he was the president. Johari ji and Sanjay Gupta interactions, I was also listening to it. I must compliment S.P. Agrawal ji, who has taken up this particular topic, which is of quite relevance to all of us, because accounting standards, we talked about it long back. It was in the textbooks, even in the BCom and MCom programs also. Institute of Chartered Accountants used to emphasize on this particular thing in their intermediate as well as in the final year examinations. But the reach to the field, that sort of initiative, it has been taken over by Agrawal ji and also J.L. Gupta ji. And I was looking at your 7-day details regarding the certificate program, and it will be highly useful to all of us, because wherever you find that the people, they are using the accounting, sometimes they go for double entry system without knowing that how far it is relevant for that organization. And since Agrawal ji is with the public sector and also I am in the public sector, we find that lots of gaps are there as far as accounting applications are there. And this accounting standard, at least if it is being popularized, then a lot of control, it can also be exercised in the financial issues also. The burden of audit, it can also be reduced, because if proper accountings they are being made, then the auditor, they can also look at the things properly, and the detection of errors and frauds that can easily be made also. and maybe the burden of the chartered accountant will also become easier. So a right decision at a right time and for a right cause. That is a thrust. And that is why when I look at my young friend, because I always call him my young friend, JL Gupta ji, and he's so vocal in Delhi University, but here he becomes a great academician. Uh, uh, his love and affection for all of us forces us to be with you all. He has given me an opportunity to listen these great stalwarts. Rekha ji, Anjali ji, I must also thank them also, because now they see that I am the only permanent face here. Any program, I will be there. So therefore, I thank all of you. And since I am the last speaker, and I will not touch upon the subjects, because for these subjects already the three great speakers, they have contributed a lot. The only thing which I request to the Agarwal Sahib and Gupta ji, that if the contents they are being put in the videos, then it may have greater use for those people who could not attend the certificate course.
Sir.
And maybe at a later stage, it can be used and it can be tailor-made to suit the requirements of other organizations also.
Sir.
And maybe at a later stage, Agarwal Sahib can come forward for educational institutions. If they make it more specific, then some of us can join and get the fullest benefit of this particular program. So once again, I thank Agarwal ji and Gupta ji for giving me an opportunity, and especially a great opportunity to listen to these three great stalwarts, Sanjay ji, Johari ji, and Chopra ji. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me a chance to be with you all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
sir.
you, Dr. Sir. Thank you.
The whole matter is on YouTube, and we have a YouTube channel, sir. Anybody can access that, and I'm sure we will coordinate with you more, and it will be available for everyone in the fraternity. Thank you, sir.
That is great. That is great.
Sir.
Thank you so much, Professor Nageshwar Rao, sir. I think, as rightly pointed out by Dr. JL Gupta and Dr. SP Agarwal, sir, आप तो हमारे permanent नहीं, आप हमारे patron हैं. It is always nice to have you, great to have you with us, and to have your good wishes and blessings to our participants and all is a very, very big treat for us. I think we salute a teacher like you, and I'm sure that the benefit of your experience, rich experience, will always be available to us. And I think you have rightly pointed out in this short phrase, that short time span that you took, right decision, right time, and right cause. I think it sums up beautifully the whole concept of what this 7 days program is. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. We come to the fag end of our program. But before I hand over the mic to Dr. S.P. Agarwal, I know he's not going to like it, but he knows me. I am also doggedly stubborn. I must tell the participants something about this very humble gentleman who's going to propose a vote of thanks, our principal, Dr. S.P. Agarwal. Dr. S.P. Agarwal has been with Deshbandhu Evening College for many years, but as a principal, he made sure that Deshbandhu Evening College took off, and it is a meteoric rise that the college has seen from where it was to where it is now. I think not just in South Campus, I would say that day is not far when tomorrow one would be talking about Ramanujam College, and then we'll be talking about Hindu College, St. Stephen's, and so on. That day is very near, I can see it. Dr. S.P. Agarwal did his education in India and abroad. He's a PhD from USA. He's contributed to research, has many publications, and the kind of humility he possesses. And I think his biggest USP is, as we were saying the other day, what we learned from him most is his smiling countenance. Beneath the veneer of that smiling countenance is a very strong personality, is someone who is completely devoted, someone who knows the a sense of timing, someone who's very sure of meeting all what we call as not just the deadlines, but make sure that he motivates each one of his, not just the teachers, but I would say non-teaching staff and the students. Rarely, sir, you would find, and honestly, I'm saying this, one has to go to the college to see. It is not the teachers who are involved in organization or in planning of the programs, but he has made sure that the entire non-teaching staff, besides their other duties, are also being trained into administration so that tomorrow, if the need arises, their vertical mobility is clearly spelled out. I think we salute you, sir, for all your efforts that you have taken up in bringing up this college. And I am sure that very soon we shall see Ramanujam College at number 1, though I am from G. St. Mary College, and I would definitely feel very envious of the situation. But as your friend, I would love to see that. Now over to you, sir, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rekha ji. Always, as usual, thank you for the best compliments, best, uh, thing
You
about
deserve
the
them.
institution. Thank you very much. As a, first of all, as principal of Ramanujan College and Teaching Learning Center, I welcome, first of all, the participants on behalf of Ramanujan College and Teaching Learning Center, and all the dignitaries who are the best in the industry, CA Amarjit Chopra, CA Johari Sahab, CMA Sanjay Gupta ji, and our own Professor Nageshwar Rao ji. My guru, my teacher, Dr. J.L. Gupta, and Rekha ji, Anjali, and our team members. Friends, as a student of commerce and accounting, today I think I have learned a lot about standards and the different views our experts has posed, and that was our objective to organize this program. Way back in 1980, when I was doing my MCOM, I opted for a course in international accounting at that time. And later on I had an interest to do research in the area of international accounting, and at that time we used to write a lot to International Accounting Standards Committee and Financial Accounting Standards Board for getting the information, because nothing was available on online. I mean, at that time there was no question of online. So and that is how I developed the interest in this area. And later on, when I moved to US, I also thought, let me do my research or PhD in this program, but probably because of no expert available in this area, I couldn't move further. So with this background, once again, why we thought of this is a unique program. You can see that it is on weekends, and we have made it tailor-made for professionals, for teachers, and for students, so that everybody can combine together and can learn more about accounting standards and interact between each other. Now,
अभी दोनों पैरों पे खड़ी
with
होने
this,
लगी 20% weight
with this background, why I'm coming to this is basically that over the last 4 months under Teaching Learning Center, which is given to us by Ministry of Education as a scheme of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission for Teachers and Teaching, we have already trained more than 50,000 teachers all over the country in different disciplines, not only in main areas like subject areas like IND AS, but in ICT tools, in MOOCs, in data analysis, and various other. And the programs are liked by the participants very much. And another important aspect of this online is that we can connect to the best people, because this I cannot do in a offline mode. I could have not invited these people together to share their views. So that is the beauty of online, that we can connect with the best people, and this information is available permanently, as Professor Nageshwar Rao said, on YouTube and other portals, and we can share with our students and other experts. Now come the formal thing. Well, friends, first of all, let me thank all our participants because they are the main, pillars for us. That is why we are here today. So thank you to each and every participants who have joined us, whether in profession, whether in teaching, whether as a student. Thank you very much for joining and posing faith in Ramanujan College. I'm really thankful to our chief guest who is not now with us, Sri Amarjit Chopra. He is our own, my senior colleague, and he is retired from this institution maybe a little earlier because he resigned and then took a voluntary and to promote the profession, and he has achieved heights in his profession. That is a great pride for this institution. And today he spoke very well and how he developed and promoted the IND AS.
Let Dr. Khan,
Excuse me,
let.
sir. Please unmute, sir. Sir, please unmute, sir.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Mr. CA Johari Saab gave true examples of accounting standard application. See, when you listen to these things, you come to know what things are required as a profession to be seen in the balance sheet. He gave two examples, one of HMT and another one FCI, and then Amarjit also interjected because he also had an experience of that. I think it's a wonderful experience for all of us. So thank you, Johari Saab. We will be, using your services. We will be in touch because this will help the profession. This will help the future generations, and this will help the teachers, listening to stalwarts like you. Then CMA Sanjay Gupta ji, he also shared his experiences, and it was completely different view, and he's also said that how the India is moving forward and the people abroad is looking after the India on various aspects, whether it is accounting standards, whether it is other company acts or so many other things which are useful for today's profession. So thank you very much, Sanjay ji, and I'm sure we will be in touch with you, and sometime we will invite you to the college to give presentation to our students and faculty. And finally, Professor, our own Professor Nageshwar Rao ji, who is always available to us. He's a guide, he's a mentor to this institution because he, I have invited him even in my annual function or at various forums, but a very highly gentle person and very knowledgeable and always guide right. So thank you, sir, for joining us today because this is a topic which is near your heart. So that is why we took up this challenge to do this program. And let me tell you, sir, that we have this permanent feature. Every year we produce one batch on IND AS or IFRS, we call it, and that is on offline mode. But today this is a online time, and that is why we could associate with around 350 participants. So once again, thank you to each and everyone. In the last, my own guru and teacher, Dr. JL Gupta, who always incite us and promote us to do something different. Always, as Sanjeev said, that every evening he collects us and talk to us on the program. And finally, our own Sanjeev Singhal, who is always helpful to this institution, always put the things together because we are not expert in this area. He has done everything, doing the syllabus, talking to all of you experts and talking to the faculty. So thank you very much, Sanjeev ji, and we are really thankful to you for organizing such meticulously and doing a highly professional work for the profession, for the teachers and for the students. And finally to Rekha ji, Anjali and my whole team for doing a lot of effort in this area, because every program needs a lot of effort. Whenever we do these programs, we do it in a systematic manner, and that is how the things should move. So I'm sure in next starting from tomorrow, the program will be of useful to all the participants, and you will pose all kind of questions to our faculty, which we will be replying to you as during the course of event and also after the course, because we want that you should be associated with the institution. We will provide you emails and other things where you can interact with us. So once again, thank you to everyone, and good night.
Sumat, may I intervene for a minute?
Sure.
See, we have got in the midst of us here Alok Garg also. He is a great instrumental in contributing to the field of education in Ramanujan College. He's there.
He's a
Express
permanent
thanks to him.
faculty to us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Express thanks to him.
Thank you, CA Alok Gargji. You are a wonderful person and a wonderful faculty. Everybody likes you. So thank you very much. So good night to everyone. And I think if nothing is there, we can leave and go home. Thank you.
You can announce the tomorrow's program to the audience.
Anjali can do that, or
Anjali, announce the program for tomorrow.
Good evening to everybody. With this, we come to the end of today's inaugural session. We are meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock for the session. The links will be given will be given to you. Either it will be there available on your emails, and also the same are going to be relayed today in the Telegram group, of which all of you are part of it. Besides that, we are starting with the session at 10 o'clock. The first session is of CA Amarjit Chopra sir. Then from 11 o'clock onwards, we have CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal sir among us for the session. And from 2 to 4, we are having Alok Garg sir as the resource person for the session. So we hope to looking forward for the technical session tomorrow and hope to meet you all there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
I think there is a question. Yes, sir. There is a question by Ricky or something. Ma'am, may I know why you have raised a hand?
I think we can wish everybody happy Teachers' Day to all.
A very happy Teachers' Day. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. We come
You can invite tomorrow. You can invite for tomorrow's function also. Let them listen to education policy.
Ji, sir. Sir, all are even requested if they want to join us. We are having a program on education policy at 9 o'clock, at 5 o'clock in the evening, and we'll be having Padma Shri Professor Dinesh Singh sir as the eminent speaker for the session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Alok. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Welcome, Alok. Thank you, Alok.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
आप तो हमारे पिलर हो. Let's not forget, यार. पुरुषोत्तम.
Yes, sir.
आज अजली को बोलो 9 बजे मीटिंग है हमारी कल के लिए. कल के प्रोग्राम के लिए 9 बजे मीटिंग है भाई.
ठीक है.
कल के प्रोग्राम के लिए 9 बजे मीटिंग. अभी तो क्या बजा है? 7 बजे है ना. 9 बजे मीटिंग है.